I'd like to ask our panelists to introduce themselves. We also have an online audience, so if you are speaking, we speak also to them. Asking them to introduce themselves and tell us, just very briefly, like in a minute or so, about yourself and your businesses or your business interests that you have. And then we will go on from. Just introduce yourself and tell us what business interests you're involved in currently. We've been involved, but we want to understand how it is possible to run more than one business at a time. So I'll start right at the end, ladies first.
Hi everyone, my name is Miranda and I am 17. I'm creation and businesses that I've had. I've always been interested in things that you do and things that you need. So right now I'm doing a course how to make do attire, attire, and also bags and things like that. I also started a baking business. I think I still do have it, it's just that I haven't time to bake and things like that. I'm actually wanting to venture into bigger things like agriculture, because there's a lot of land where I come from, so I'm thinking of like owning a piece of land by next year, and it's possible. And yeah, and also early childhood development, like Montessori schools and stuff like that. And then maybe one day, like building real estate and stuff like that. So.
Hey, my fellow entrepreneurs. Obviously, I'm Tyron Willemser. So, I have a marketing agency called Marketing, where we currently do digital marketing for various companies. I've done marketing for quite a while now, and the reason I do marketing was a great opportunity to learn about various different industries. It's not like you only market restaurants, you get to market other types of businesses. And I think this was one of the best options that I had, because this gave me the opportunity to see what type of business, what type of industry I really want to be in one day. That's why I started doing marketing. And then on the side, I also do photography. That's also one of the side hustles that I have. So I actually do instant film at various events. And what I do is I go around and ask people $30 for an instant film, and then they have a memory that lasts away. So that's what I'm doing right now. And all my money, it's not like I'm investing it right now into something. I'm just using it to buy more assets that I need for my marketing agency. For example, the other day I invested into a new camera to better the quality of my work. So obviously I want to start investing. I've always been interested in real estate. I want to do real estate one day. That's still a bit further into the future.
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Sydney. So I run a company called Owners Group is it's a home production house. So at the moment I'm actually focusing my day-to-day job is on the production house. So my day-to-day job is on the film production house. So we do videos for corporate TV work and stuff like that. And we've seen some of our TVs and stuff.
Great. So the question that I would like to ask them, anyone can answer, is what is the motivation of starting more than one business? Why were you motivated to start more than one business?
For me, I told myself if I can say like I don't think you should limit yourself to if you like different types of things. So and I'm also thinking, so I decided to retire that.
My dad always liked to tell me that you shouldn't have all your eggs in one basket. And so when I started doing the marketing, I started to see all the other industries. I knew that once this business can run, even if I'm not there, then it was maybe a great idea to start doing another. And the reason you want to do this is you never know how long the industry is going to last. I mean, if you look at what AI is going to do into our world right now, we were talking about McDonald's right now. A lot of people that take the orders, they aren't even working anymore with this machine where you take the order now. So you never know if your business is ever going to last. So you don't want to only invest that you want to have multiple investments. This opportunity, and you'll have let's say you'll have a better opportunity to that. So that's why I started to go to other industries as well, start more than one business. Because eventually, as an entrepreneur, I'm not saying you're going to get bored, but you want to have a lot of things happening at one stage. There's also great opportunity to meet new people, to build new connections. That's really vital.
I think for me, it's because I've always thought like very few things that I want to do. Every time you actually meet new people, speak about certain things, you realize that it's actually something that you want. And I think also like the idea of monetizing skill, something that interests me. It is like challenge again to learn.
Now, you guys, I hope you are writing these things down, because this is the learning of it. As they talk, they are teaching you. So don't wait until they say, "Oh, start writing." And please prepare your questions, because it's important for us to learn through asking. It's one of the things that we want to do. And please, if you are getting your coffee, do it as quietly as possible. Right. So here's another question for you guys. Please, you don't have to answer it, one of you, but if you feel like this is relevant for you, please give us the information, because I think many of us sitting here and those watching would find themselves in a situation where they need to know about these things. And so here is the question. What are the advantages and disadvantages of running multiple businesses or projects?
I can think advantages if you get it right the first time. Business is about systems. Put together a system that works, to replicate it in different places. It works. It's a system that works. What he was saying earlier on, it's not really about the people that do that, even though like they're important in the process. If you have a system that works, you can actually replicate it in many different industries, and it will work. So for me, that is the advantage. You get to actually work and work on this one thing, and actually monetize in different ways.
So systems.
I would also like to add on, what I see a lot of people doing is, obviously as an entrepreneur, you don't just want to have one business. An entrepreneur has numerous investments. But starting off, you have to start with one thing. You can't try to have like a million ideas and try to make everything work at one time. Even just starting one business alone is enough. So you want to start actually branching out and make sure that your business is good. That's one of the disadvantages of starting more than one business. Obviously, a lot of your time that you need to put into that one business, it's not going to have to split to another business. So make sure that you are actually ready and sustainable. Someone is putting enough work in to cover what you used to put in. So that's one of the disadvantages. One of the other advantages is what we talked about now, it's just lasting as an entrepreneur, having steady income. This way, it's not just coming from one business, obviously, it's coming from two sources now, so your opportunity to last is way higher. For example, if you look at what happened during COVID time, if you only owned a restaurant, you didn't do anything else, you ran into a bit of problems. So obviously, people couldn't come to your restaurants. But if you did any other business that was actually, a viable business during COVID time, let's say, for example, you owned a discount, it was a necessity, so your business was actually thriving. That's one of the positives of having one business.
I think I agree with Steve about having when you have different things going on, like assurance, like if this doesn't work, this will work. And also one of the disadvantages, if you struggle with time management like I do, you're not going to be able to get things on time. Let's say, for example, business A has 30 quarters, business B wants you to consult and things like that. It can get really overwhelming. So, like, business stage, you need to have like a very good system so that you
I see some of you have questions. Please hold on to the questions, write them down. Once I'm done with this, we will open up the floor for you to ask. And if you're watching this later as we are pre-recording, please send your questions. We will reach out to you and answer them if they are not part of the questions that are asked here now. Now, guys, please tell me something. What is better, to have one business that's registered and different units under it, or to have different registrations, register several companies? What do you think would be best advice for them ourselves?
I think personally, like my point of view, I wouldn't like text such a stressful state, like thinking about the fact that like in the future I'll have to pay tax, like that's just so I think it would be better to have like business and have things and there are plenty, like a lot of people that has to have stuff. So it's better to have one solid thing.
Just looking into it, look, I'm always honest when I have to answer a question. If I don't have a proper answer, I don't usually like to answer myself. I'm still learning. But when it comes to just registering a business in general, when you start off as an entrepreneur, when you guys do build things now, and let's say you actually have a viable business, a great idea, obviously there are a lot of perks of registering that I'm going to go into now. But just start off, you don't have to register your business like this. A lot of people aren't going to agree with me on this one, but when you have the opportunity to just go solo without registering your business, like first do that. Eventually you can register. But make sure obviously you have your domain name and everything so someone else can't already do what you're doing or use your name. That's something you can do.
If I actually were to, I think when you're starting out, maybe registering one thing and managing this one thing would be a good idea. However, I believe that if you have a vision, you say you're going to start businesses and you're going to sell them, and you already have that system in place, then I would actually say register different things on together. So that whenever you have to say how much this is worth, and you can be able to show people that this is a different event altogether. And if you're going to look for funding or for business partners, you know where to actually bring them in. He is good at marketing. And in my mind already I can picture if we were to work together. I know exactly where I would be in my organization. And she is good with doing something. We need to have something of that nature to say, you know where you put certain business funders or business mentors or something like that. And if you were to sell it today, how much would it be worth, or who we should sell it to, and stuff
Great. So this is an amazing thing. You notice that there are two options. You can run your business formally or informally. So a lot of people are like, oh, I haven't registered. I know a lot of people who we start reaching out to me as a consultant, and they wanted me to help them. And I said, oh, start doing this. And they're like, I'm waiting to register. I need to raise money. I need to do this. And it's been a couple of years now. I think close to 10 for some of them. Others never even started because, you know, they keep polishing, and you won't get started. So I think very important what I say. If you have a business idea, go at it. Start making money. You don't register to sell tomatoes. Don't register to sell amabuja. Don't register to sell fidget spinners. Don't register anything to start what you can do. Someone was saying they fix people's hair. You don't have to have a hair salon to run the business, because a hair business is not a hair salon. Okay? So sometimes we always think about brick and mortar places, fixed place, and already when you do that, you have overhead. You have to pay money for rent, and you don't have money at the end. But if you are thinking of building a business to grow it and then sell it, then you might as well from the onset register it separately. Two words that stand strong for me: you had systems, right? And you had planning. Very important that we keep that in mind. And if we don't have that, we will always confuse ourselves, frustrate ourselves, or walk around carrying a business card. We used to laugh about this with Sydney some time ago. We go to these meetings and conferences, and like small guy hands you a business card. It's written Nick Sibanda, CEO. Okay? Because I like the term, you know, I like managing director. It's my business, I'm the CEO, right? And then the question was, now if you are interacting and then there is the CEO of telco, can you discuss business, CEO to CEO, right? So sometimes labeling yourself this thing, this big name is not going to make a big business, okay? You are roaring, and then when they open, they discover that it's not a lion, it's a mouse with a microphone. Okay. So sometimes it's important for you to not focus on all the glamorous things, focus on the business itself, the idea, and pursue it and grow it. And then as you grow it, you become a proper CEO with experience. I think I shared in his talk earlier about the importance of learning and growing and becoming better and better at something. I think you heard him talk about his own journey of discovery, failing and starting and failing and starting, and improving his capacity. Now, one last question. If you have multiple businesses and it just doesn't seem to be working, when do you stop pursuing it?
I would personally advise you to sit down with yourself and ask yourself which one is the most profitable one, which one has a bigger and a brighter future. Sometimes we tend to abandon things because we have a special spot for something. So look where the money is and find a way to incorporate what you like into this thing that is making money. Yeah, so don't put your feelings with it. I think
Actually, a great example was Elon Musk had the same problem that we're talking about now. I think it was between Tesla and SpaceX. In 2008, I think it was 2008, there was a big problem. He didn't have a lot of the money, and he had like had one choice. No, actually, it's two choices. He could have split the money he had, put half of it in SpaceX and half of it in Tesla, and then both might die. Or he could have put all the money in one, and then the other would definitely die. And so he came to the conclusion that he was going to obviously split the money, and luckily for him it worked out. But when you have to make a big decision like this, obviously you have to do your due diligence behind it, everything. I actually mentioned now, if you really had to only make one business survive and you had to let the one go, obviously you're going to keep the one that is not just profitable now, but profitable in the future. You have to look at sustainability and, even use, what do they call it again? There's a whole process you can go through to check, okay, you can forecast this business is going to do so much, and the industry isn't going to be changing right now, maybe stick to that one. But obviously it's better to try and make both work. There's always an answer. If you haven't read a book or two, if you haven't asked a couple of people, then you haven't done your research. Then you can't just make a decision, because then it's not an informed decision. So ask as many people as you can, do as much research as you possibly can. As we mentioned, use your device, and I promise you'll probably come up with a good solution.
Like a quick example. For example, we just came out of COVID. Okay, there's still COVID, right? We're not wearing masks anymore. So let's say you started a mask business and you're selling masks with jewels and stuff, masks that glow in the dark. Obviously, let's say you had a big market for that, everyone was buying it, and then people are still buying now, but it's not boosting and booming as before. But you really, 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 really love the idea, and you don't want to let it go. But on the side, you probably have like a flip-flop business. Okay, summer's coming up soon, so you should probably invest in time and put your expertise on glow in the dark thingies on the slippers. Yeah.
So there you have it. I think very important. Here is one amazing piece of advice. I think it's come through from these guys. Never fall in love with your idea. Love your idea, but never fall in love with it. Okay? I have seen people who pursue something that's long dead. It's not working. But it's the only thing. If I let go of this thing, I will feel like a failure. I'll feel like I have let down. This is like my baby. Please have more babies. Okay? That's how business works. Don't tie your life to one business. Even if you gave it your name, like tie. Yes. If market tying doesn't work, cut it away. Okay? Because it will kill you. It will give you stress. It will distress you. And a lot of people I know are running something that is long dead. So I want to challenge you. Now I'm going to open up the floor to the questions from the floor. Fatah, you had a question. Who else had a question? Yes. Who else has a question? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Let's go in that order. 1. Please ask as loudly as you can for the camera as well. If you can stand a bit. You're asking the panel there.
Okay. You said an entrepreneur should not have like one option to stick from, like she have multiple choices. Right? So now if an entrepreneur has multiple businesses, that means he's going to need to hire a lot of people to help him take care of the business when he's not around. So that means he also going to have to pay them. So how does the entrepreneur make money? Because he will have to be paying the staffs and this stuff. So at the end of the day, he's not getting like profit from the business because he's not making too much.
Okay. Let's get that answered as quickly as we can. Let's be as short as we can because we've got 7 hours.
Okay. I personally feel like if you're an entrepreneur and you're starting out and you have a lot of things going on and you're not making like like great figures to pay someone like an annual or monthly salary, then I don't think you should hire anyone. I think it's good to like rely on family members and stuff and friends, like close friends. Like if you have a younger sibling or an older sibling or a mom or someone who's free, you should ask them to help you run the thing until it comes to a point when you guys can like handle it and all. Then that's when you should like start hiring people. But you have to make sure that the business is doing good enough for you guys to make sure that this person is hired like for 12 months plus, not just like a 2-month thing, you understand? Because entrepreneurs make employment, not temporary employment. We shouldn't be striving to do that. We should be striving to employ people on a longer basis.
My choice would be he spoke about this earlier. Selling. You need to be solving a problem that the client has. If you are selling something and you are not generating enough income to sustain that, it means you're not answering the problem that the person has. Or the problem is not that big as you actually are putting out the solution. So whenever you are bringing up a business idea, you're solving a problem that someone has. And the guy who developed this phone wanted someone to actually be able to communicate with someone else. He could have actually gotten this one if it's just to call someone, But there is so much functionality that is packed here, and you get to pay for that functionality that is here. So even with your business as well, what you simply do, like figure out what you are solving and how do you then structure it. Sometimes you don't actually have to work even, you actually get to work, if you are the business owner, you work harder than everyone else. You get to do work for many other people. And while you are building that structure that says, when I am through with this thing, people will be able to actually see, I will be able to then say, I need a store manager, and the store manager will take care of this, and you get to focus on other things. Right? And so it has to actually, your solution has to actually not be costing you in a sense.
I'd just like to add on. So your question was obviously when you start your second business now, how do you actually pay those people because this is not profitable yet? Well, obviously you have to not think short term, but you have to think long term. It's not like you're going to start your business now and it's going to be profitable this year. No, it's actually been shown that most businesses take like 3 to 5 years to become profitable, so you have to be patient. But obviously you started your second business with scarcity, knowing that your first business is surviving, even when on days where you're not there. So if you can't even manage your one business, if you don't earn enough money, don't start that second one. Make your first one work. That's just my opinion. If you can't run one, imagine trying to run two. So when you can run the one, the safer route is obviously to have extra cash to pay, the workers for the second business, and do that. There's other routes as well that are a bit more risky. Obviously, doing debt, because eventually the business will start paying for that. But it's obviously you have to do your research, and it all depends on how fast you want to go.
Thank you. Next question.
If you were to rate your business out of 10, how many would you give it in terms of making profit? If you were to rate your business out of 10, how many would you give it in terms of making profit?
Good question.
Okay. Obviously, they are running several businesses. Maybe let's talk about the main business that you are running.
I think I'd rate mine in the if it was possible, because you can get more for probably 60 rand, and you can charge 1,000 rand, and one will ask you questions. So I think it's 11 out of 10. Confidence. Okay.
I've never had someone ask me that question. How do you answer that? If I had to be honest with myself, I would rate it like a 4 right now. Mainly because it's with marketing, you don't necessarily have to put a lot of money. You don't even need capital to start if you already have resources. But remember, time is your most important asset, well, your most important, how can I say, currency that you put into your business. So let's just say that. And for me right now, I'm not at a point where I feel I am, doing as much as possible for as little time as possible. So my return on investment, if I look at how much time I'm using, it's not great yet. So for now, I'm rating it a 4. But any business can have a rating out of 10. You can have a rating of 10 if you're just running it properly.
I also never been asked this before. I think from my business, like there's so many factors that contribute to profitability. Is investment in the business, is the team that I have, and the time like everybody else. Quite frankly, I don't know how much I can actually really do. Yeah.
Okay, but thank you very much for asking that question, because it's making us think. Actually, I am thinking myself, okay, I'm not too sure also about my own businesses. But yeah, that's a brilliant question. Guys. In fact, profitability, the scope of it is very important. I think this question is critical for all of us who are starting a business. We need to at least have a forecast of how profitable this business is going to be, and how soon, within what space. Because there is absolutely no need for you to go into a business that will give you $1 billion after 60 years. You understand? You toil, and at the end of it, that's when you make profit. Now, not like that Chinese tea that we had about yesterday. There must be endurance, there must be certain commitment, but there must be a prospect of profit in the foreseeable future, so that at least you can see the benefits of the input. Otherwise, you may just be running after a current on a stick. Okay. Right, who was next? Yeah? Alisa.
I just wanted to ask that if you need to stop for another business, is it easy for you to take money from the business that earns a lot? For an example, let's say you're designing t-shirts or dresses and you say nice fabric, but the business for your design isn't doing well yet. What can you do?
Okay. We take from one business venture and fund the other. This is a funding model. How do you manage resources? If I'm selling very well on one side, but this one is not doing well, but it needs the funds, do I take money from here and invest?
I think if there's a demand, you should first research your market. If there's a demand, if people want it to be, like they want institution, then you should take the money. But if it's something that you're the same thing I was doing, but you're not sure if it's going to give you money or not, then I don't think it's a wise decision. So first do your research, use the proposition model, and then you can take the money from the other business.
Personally, I would take money from another business and fund it. However, the way my business is run, it's obviously separate, so then it's more like a loan per se. It will be paid back into that business at a later stage when get any returns.
Okay. It's your business. It's your money. Why are you making it? So that you can make this other one thrive. If there is prospect and you can see opportunity, definitely. Where else do you want to get money? Borrow from someone else? When you have money? No. So it's important for you to think about how to organize your finances and how to then invest in that particular business. I think the intention is to see what return there is for you if you spend this money. If there is no return, if you are not sure, please don't spend the money that you have earned on something that you're not sure about. Are we together? It's important. Otherwise, it's almost like when you've got something and then you see something else and then you give up this one and try to run after this one and then you lose both. So it's important for you to think like that. Okay, you were next. Ethan.
I wanted to ask that what will happen if you start with many big hard businesses but you can't run one?
Okay. What will happen if you start many businesses if you cannot run one? I think they have already tackled that. It will fail very badly, and it will frustrate you. It will make you feel like you are a failure. So there is a Zulu saying that goes, you cannot chase two impalas at the same time. You know, it comes from the olden days when you went to hunt, right? Carrying a spear and you are looking for food, right? And then as you turn around the bush, two impalas, show up. And then one runs this way and the other runs this way. And you try to catch both of them. You run this way and you think this one is going too far. You run after this one and it gets further and in the end you catch nothing. So the intention is always be focused. Always be focused. So it's important for you to make sure that the business that you are running is one that you can achieve. Okay, thank you very much. What you are no. Who was next? It was you. Yes, go ahead.
So where do you get the time to manage all these businesses? Because there are a lot of other responsibilities in the school. Where do you get the chance to manage them all?
Okay, this is a very important question. Where do these guys get time to run a business? They are students, they are learners. Bilete and Tai, you need to speak about this because you are the ones who started when you're in grade 4, grade 6, now you're in matric. How have you been managing? We're talking 6-7 years now. How have you been managing to do this? Do you give up your school? Do you give up sport? Do you give up drama? How do you manage a business?
That's a very interesting question, and I asked Ty earlier on. I remember once Ty told me I was struggling to manage my business, and I asked him, how do I do this? And then he told me that you need to prioritize things and you need to make a schedule. And if you're waking up late, let's say probably 6, and you know you have a lot of things to do, you might have to start at 5 o'clock. And when you start off your day, you see what you meditate, right? You meditate, you pray, and you make sure that your head's clear before you start off the day. So if you have a lot of things, you have to start making sacrifices. If you want something to really prosper, you will fight tooth and nail to make sure that it works out, you understand? You will put aside time for this. If you're doing sports at school, you drop sports and you will tackle your business. So I think the best thing to do is drop a schedule. Prioritize what is important and what can follow. If you are a person after school, I'm guilty. I like going to the Kota joint down the road with my friends. We talk, and then I go home and I remember that I have to crochet. That does not benefit me in any way because I'm gonna see my friends throughout the whole year. There's holidays, there's weekends. So you need to tell yourself, the moment the bell rings, you are out and you are going to make sure that when you get home, you do your things. And at school, sometimes will be break. You can also sacrifice your breaks and start doing homework because that's what I've done. I started telling myself, when I come back home, make sure I have no homework so that I can do the things I want to do. I can create content for my business. I can make new products and things like that. So you're never really going to get anything if you don't put in the work, you understand? It's like saying you want to have an orchard, but you're only building you're only planting spinach and you only plant spinach once a week. You're not gonna go anywhere. You need to put a day and say, today I'm gonna clear the piece of land, I'm going to put the oranges in that section, I have to design and landscape the orchard, you understand? So that's how it has to be.
Yeah, I think she covered mostly what I wanted to say, and it's a good example what she used as well. You know, just having self-discipline to know that if you are actually driven, you know, you would make the time. If you guys want to go this weekend out with your friends and you had something else, I promise you, you guys try to make time to go out with your friends. And that's how you should feel about your business. And that's something we can't teach you guys, that's something that you have to have for yourself. It's all about how driven you really are. So yeah, obviously just plan out your day beforehand, get yourself a daily business planner. Write out what you're going to do, because actually it's been shown that when you write out what you're going to do, you are more likely going to do it than when you actually just tell yourself, oh, okay, I'll probably do it a bit later.
Ty, please repeat that.
Actually write down what you want to do. Don't just tell yourself that you're going to do it, because you know the chances of you actually act upon it then is much higher.
So you're talking about this business planner. Do you have an example of it?
My bag's there at the back. I actually do have one. Okay, let me keep it.
To add on to the question, right? You also have to have a vision. You also have to remind yourself, like, why are you in it in the first place? If you just think of something like, if you just see into 5 minutes, you're not really going to be motivated. But if you tell yourself that, in 10 years, I see myself doing this, or at the end of the year, I want to do this and this and this and this, that's going to keep you, anytime you get discouraged, just remind yourself that I want this type of lifestyle, so doing this will help me get there. So, yeah.
One of the things, while Ty is coming, one of the things that makes us, as the YEP program, desire to invest in young people. One of the things that we have mentioned, if you go to our website, you will see it, is because young people grow up. Okay? I told you just now, Ty was grade 6 when we started. Minnie was grade 4 when we started. Look at them now. This is just 6 years later. Do you understand? Look at what they've done. Look at what they've accomplished. So if you have a vision for yourself, today you might be in grade 8. Grade what? 6. But in 6 years you'll be in grade 12. In 6 years, some of you will be married. Did you know that? Yes. In 6 years, it's a long time. A lot changes in that space. In 6 years, you will be running a business that goes into the millions. A lot happens in that space. But if you're sitting here and saying, I'm waiting until I finish matric, it's a long time, I'm only in grade 8, you have a serious problem, because time will fly past and you will wake up and you're like, what happened? Time.
Yeah, so this is just an example. I got this book like beginning of the year, and it was only like halfway through this year now that I started to realize how powerful this actually is. So I really started to do it. So like the night, during the night, I'll just write down, okay, tomorrow this is what's going to be happening, and I would write it down. So like, this is actually a really nice book. So yeah, you can write down your action points for the day, and then you have your times for during the day. And then, obviously, let's say I get off at school like 2:45. Then I know, okay, 2:30 I have to be here. And it's not like you have to try and remember all of this, it's written down. So, you can take the book to school with you and you can just remind yourself of what's happening. And once you can do this, obviously your day is going to be much more smoother than what it was if you just have to try and remember it. So write down what you're doing. It's important.
Even if for most of you guys here you're at school, you say, yeah, now we have exams, we have this, and one thing about life is that like there will always be something else. You will always not have enough time for something, so you must actually, like what he's talking about, prioritize it. I also write things down on myself. I have a laptop that I can type things on, but like it is different when you write it down. Like you get to actually go back to it and actually look at it, and you can even make it like check it out, cross it out when you're done with it, so you can see what you've achieved and what you didn't achieve, and find the reasons why you didn't achieve what you didn't achieve, and adjust accordingly.
Okay, thank you very much. How many questions do we still have? 1, 2. Okay, that will be the last one. Okay, your second question after that. So it's you and then you and then you. Okay, we'll end with you.
Okay, how do you convince people to buy your stuff?
How do you convince people to buy your stuff? Time. I think we've covered that. Marketing.
Yeah. An important thing to know is that when you start a business, whatever product or service you have, I always use the lock and key analogy. You don't make a key and then you go around looking for a lock. You find a lock and then you craft it. So obviously your product, when you create a product, when you have a service, the whole idea of that product or service is to solve a problem that your client might have. So obviously you aren't going to struggle to sell your product or your service if your client actually thinks he needs it. So it's all about how you deliver the message about what your service really is, what problem you're solving, then you will sell. Just learn how to articulate words in the right way. People, if you don't do this verbally, if you do it through copy, we call it copywriting. And copywriting is the ability to use the written word to persuade someone to take an action. So just articulate your words in the right way. Make sure you have a set script for actually how you pitch something. And if your product is really valuable and it really does solve the problem, you won't have any issue selling it. If you're having issue selling it, well, then you should probably take a look at your product. You're not always just on how you pitch it. Okay.
Are there any organizations that help fund a successful business idea if the owner does not have the money to start?
Yes, there are thousands and thousands of them. But what we would recommend through this program is that if we have a business idea that we really feel has potential, just run it past us and we will connect you to whoever can assist you and help you. Most of the times, when you start well, you find funding from your parents, from your relatives. That's usually the easiest money because you don't get charged interest or anything of that sort. Or you can decide to ask somebody else to put money in it, and if they are convinced that it's going to earn money, they'll put their money in. People run businesses using other people's money. So yes, there are organizations, but like we taught you yesterday, money is the last thing to talk about. First, you have to figure out what the idea is, who wants it, and how you're going to get it to them. And then you can ask for money because you can prove to me that you have an idea that somebody needs and you have the means to deliver it. Okay. Anything else?
Okay, question there at the back.
Yes, there's one question there. There is one here, and Nakiso, you'll be the last one. We have to wind this up, so please ask short and quick.
What was the first objection when you started your business, and what methods do you use to advertise it?
Okay. So what was the objective when you started the business? Okay. And what methods do you use? I think they have covered that quite extensively. Ty now. I think when it goes back to the objective, it goes back to what we taught you yesterday about the value proposition. You have to work through that. I just mentioned the key and lock analogy. You have to see what need there is and then create a solution for that. This is where your business is. It answers. Somebody who made coffee knew that people would take a break and they need energy and they need to stay awake. They went and got coffee beans and ground them and packaged them so that we can buy them and solve our problems. Yeah. So those are some of the things that you need to think about. But how do you get people to buy into this? Your marketing skills, which is what I think Ty has spent some time looking at, are very critical. Marketing is not clever ideas of impressing people. It's just telling people this is valuable for you. You know, if I'm thirsty and you bring a cup of water, you don't have to persuade me. If you drink this water, it will... No, you don't. I need it, you put it in front of me, and I'm going to take it. And this is what marketing is all about. You know your product, you know what it does, you put it in front of the person with the need, and the person will pay you. That's how simple it works. Okay? Yes.
I wanted to ask, how do you prepare for challenges that may affect your business in the future?
Okay. Great question. Let's be as brief as we can.
So with my business, one thing I'm trying to do is incorporate other things like jewelry and stuff, so that I just don't make it about clothing. Because crochet was actually a 2020 trend that is still pretty much alive. But you know, with trends, they come and they die. So I do have a backup plan. So you should always make sure that you have an alternative in case things, you know, die down. So you should always, when you're an entrepreneur, I can't emphasize this enough, you should always have a plan B and a C. And like Sir said, you shouldn't be attached to it. You shouldn't make it your baby, because when it's dying, you're gonna keep holding on to it, and you are going to become more hurt, and you're gonna, you know, just create a bigger loss for yourself. So yes.
It's also important for you to note that a lot of people like to ask this question online: how should I know when the next recession is coming? How do I prepare for this in a business standpoint now? You can't forecast it. You know, maybe there's a few analytics that you can look into, and maybe you can make a rough estimate, but you really actually can't forecast it. So it's important to look in the future. I always believe you shouldn't be an outperson. You should also be a person that looks into the future, because obviously the future is going to beat you up if you're not prepared. But you know, there are a few simple problems that every business faces, and you can even go just Google it, and you can Google some of the most common problems or challenges that business face, and you can already try and look for a solution for this. But don't be just stuck on the problems. Don't only focus on what's not working. Focus on what's working and try to leverage upon that. That's what I believe I was using.
I think also Cindy said something very important. A business runs on a system. So a system doesn't care about what the issues are. It adapts itself literally. And once you make changes with the system, then you are able to deal with the issues as they come along. So don't really be spooked out by, you know, go to a sangoma and say, what's coming up, you know, in the future? Am I going to be prosperous? Don't do that. Okay? Focus on building value and also understanding your market and adapt as you go along. By the way, some of the best opportunities have come during the worst of the times. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yes. So changes in the future sometimes can actually give you value instead of terrifying you and making you afraid. Okay. The last question, and then, here and then the last question.
I also wanted to ask how much pressure you have when you are running many businesses. Do you get a spare time to enjoy yourself also as a human being?
Okay. Do you enjoy yourself as a human being? A business person is a human being. And a business is actually human activity. It's important for us to think of our business not as detached from reality, from ourselves. It's an expression of who you are. Hopefully, you are not in it for the money, because, by the way, I think what we are teaching you now is how to think like an entrepreneur. Okay? Some people are not entrepreneurs, they are business people. So they're running a business for the money. And so they are not themselves, which is what she's asking. They have a life, and then they go to the business to make money, and come back to their life and go to the business. But as an entrepreneur, your business should be a natural expression of who you are, an expansion of the capacity that you have inside you. And so, where do you get the time? These diaries that we have had, priorities, the vision, it must be written down. It must be written down. If you don't write it down, somebody else will make your priorities for you. Are we together?
Yes.
I am here today because it is according to plan. Okay? I could be in 10 different places today. Like important places. You understand? But this is according to plan. That's why I'm here. So your planning is important. It will help you to remove those things that you don't need. And here is another important thing that I think has been emphasized. Time is money. Can you repeat that?
Time is money.
So when you sit and watch a movie for 3 hours, and then you watch another one, or you watch a whole series, they call it binge watching, you are wasting your time. I think you had the slide. Netflix is not 100 rand per month. It's time, focus. Where do people find time? They make time. If you sleep 11 hours, you're wasting time. You understand? Focus is important. And some of you are spending 3 hours doing homework, which you could do in 30 minutes, because you're not focused. You have extra time, so you feel so bored, you're going to be doing your homework bit by bit, slowly. But if you've got focus and other priorities, you do away with the homework, you finish it while you are still in class, so that after class, I have time enough to focus on the business, because the business pays me. So this is how we find the time. By the way, all of us, every single one of us, the person who has the most money in the world, and the person who has 0 cents, who is outside on the street, or sitting here in the street, or watching, has 24 hours every single day. The difference is, what do you do with the 24 hours? That's important. Okay, last question.
The question is, how do you guys stay on top of new industry trends?
How do you stay on top of new industry trends? Please answer that.
I think the number one thing is social media. Like, you need to have social media. That's how you stay on top. You also need to like search, see what's going on. Also interview your friends. Say, what have you seen? What do you like? Understand? That's how you stay on top of everything.
There was this one person the other day, he said, okay, well, he watches the news every night, he tries to be on all these various platforms, because if he doesn't do that, he feels like he's going to be feel left behind, because he's not going to know what's going on around the world. That could not be further from the truth. If you have WhatsApp, have you guys noticed how many people put stuff on their statuses, just alone? Or how many times have you heard your friends talking about the lawsuit happening against, what was that oak's name? No, with his wife, Johnny Depp. I can't even remember his name. But anyway, you hear everything around. People always talk. You're not going to be behind. So when it comes to trends, you're talking about trends now. We all know what was happening. People are putting on their stories, TikToks of what's trending right now. And it's easy to follow. You don't have to be on 100 platforms just to stay up to date. People are talking around you. You just have to learn to listen. So rather focus on what you're doing right now, and then what people are talking around you, just try to adapt to that. Maybe if it's something important, you can go do a bit more research. But don't try and think that you have to be on every platform just to stay up to date, because that's not true.
I would actually say that trends will be there, right? But if concerns your business, you need to have
plan of action of what you want to do. It shouldn't be swayed by the trends that are happening in that moment. Very few times does like trends alter the course of a business or like the life of a business. And I think it also goes to how prepared you are as an entrepreneur to see like what will actually affect you and what will be something that will just pass.
How prepared are you as an entrepreneur? Now, I think that is a powerful one. And here's what we would like to teach you. Maybe this will be our parting shot. You don't have to follow the trends. You must be ahead of the curve. You must make the trends. If you're going to be successful, once something starts trending, it means everyone has seen it. Everyone now knows it. That's how trends are made. Everyone now knows it. But those who set the trends are the ones who do it before anyone else knows about it. And others follow them. They copy what they have done. One of the most important things that I would like to encourage you to do, if you have chosen a specific area of industry, you must stay ahead of the curve. You must know everything there is to know about that industry. What is coming in the future? What are people doing elsewhere? There are other markets that are ahead of us. What are they doing now? You understand? That is what is going to help you. Today we live in a global world. So we don't have to wait until something comes from America or from China that, oh, now finally they are doing this, we also need to do that. Things are happening in real time everywhere in the world. You can connect, use that connectivity. Guys, thank you very much for the brilliant questions, and we appreciate your participation here. Fantastic questions, and I hope you learned a lot. Thank you very much to my panel. You guys have been amazing. We wish you all the best in your endeavors and in those businesses. Let's clap hands. Thank you very much. We are done. Thank you for those of us who are watching and following us online. Please remember to bring those questions if they have not been asked. We would gladly engage in that. Thank you very much.